Hey there, Larry Stein. Welcome to another segment of Go Gardening. My name is Larry Stein and I work for Texas A&M Extension Service. And today we're talking fruit trees. Now, we're in the sun and it's hot. And when you plant fruit trees, guys, that's what they have to have, full sun. And so today we're going to talk about stone fruits. We'll also talk a little bit about citrus. But you got to have full sun to plant these trees. So in our next segment here, we're going to talk stone fruit trees, which includes peaches, plums, and even apricots. So of all the crops that most homeowners would like to grow, most would like to grow peaches. And so we're talking stone fruits now, and realize that in the stone fruit group, you can grow peaches, plums, and apricots. Almonds are also included in that group. But out of all of those, the most popular one is peaches. And so most homeowners would like to grow peaches, and the key is that you have to select the right variety. So here in South and Central Texas, we have to rely on chilling. Each winter we get about 450 to 500 hours of cold, and so we got to select varieties that will perform accordingly. Now some people like to go with a red Baron peach. Red Baron is a flowering peach. It has a double red flower, but it also produces a very nice edible fruit. And so you can have the best of both worlds there. Others of us want to grow something like maybe the new donut peach. The new donut peach is the round shaped, the donut flat peaches, so to speak. Most of those are white fleshed. Here is one of the trees that you could potentially get. This is the Galaxy variety. If you will go to Aggie Horticulture and Google the Fruit and Nut website, we have the recommended variety list there, and so you can find out the recommended varieties for your particular area. And when you select trees to buy, what you want to do is get the average size tree. You don't want these great big gorilla trees. We would prefer the medium sized trees. We also want you to plant these guys in the winter time. We want these leaves to drop off. We want the tree to be totally dormant when you put it in the ground. So realize this tree is growing in that container, and if you try to plant the tree right now during the growing season, we don't know what that root system is doing. And so if we'll plant it during the winter time, we can knock it out of the container, examine the root system, and if we need to break some of the roots, move some of the roots back, we can. And so we would suggest that you plant these guys in the winter time. So in our next segment, we're going to talk about plums. So one of the most overlooked fruit crops that we have on the market today are plums. You know, most people would like to grow peaches, but in reality, plums are probably a little bit easier to grow. And so we would suggest you try a methylene plum. Methylene plum works really, really good in our area. It's a medium-sized plum, has a smooth flesh, and it's also purple flesh that it has. The outside skin is very smooth. And so methylene plum is a really nice plum. I would consider you try it. And I think you'll be really successful with it. The good news about methylene is one tree will pollinate itself, so you only need one tree. Basically, you treat it the same as a peach tree as well. So in the stone fruit group, we have peaches, which a lot of people would like to plant. Then we have plums, which is overlooked. And then the other one that some people like to plant sometimes are apricots. I would suggest you probably not try apricots, but if you just have to have one, the variety you want to select would be Blenheim. And Blenheim will make a very nice tree. Not so sure you'll have a lot of fruit, but at least you'll get to enjoy the beauty of the tree. All right, so we're going to talk cold hardiness of citrus varieties now. Realize citrus is a tropical plant. So when the temperature drops below freezing, we got to be worried about the welfare of the tree. Now this tree right here is planted in the ground. It's a hardy satsuma is what it is. This is actually an orange frost satsuma. It's a cross between satsuma and Changsha tangerine. So we have really, really good hardiness and a very high quality fruit. So you have a wide range of cold hardiness. If you want to plant something in the ground, you got to select the right variety. Now some of you guys want to grow limes. Everybody likes limes and lemons. This happens to be a Persian lime. The cold hardiness of limes is not good at all. I mean, it's going to freeze at the drop of a hat. So this guy you want to put in a container. Lemons and limes we put in containers. The more hardy things like satsuma, different satsumas, orange frost, arctic frost, etc., we can actually put them in the ground. And then in between satsuma and lime, you have oranges and actually grapefruit. So those of you that want to grow those, you can actually do some of that as well. The most important thing about citrus is you have to have some kind of cold protection plan. Other than that, diseases and insects are quite minimal. We have to fertilize them, obviously, but other than that, the care of citrus is fairly easy. All right, we're going to talk management of stone fruit trees now. This is peaches, plums, apricots if you have them. The most important thing you need to do when you plant stone fruit trees is you want to keep it weed-free around the base of the tree. So you see this pile of weeds right here? That pile of weeds right there weighs 1 pound. 1 pound. It takes 80 gallons of water, 80 gallons of water to grow that pound of weeds. So if the weeds and grass don't get the water, then the tree might get the water. So number one thing in management, weed control. No weeds and grass around the tree for at least 5 years. The next thing you want to do is you want to mulch. You want to mulch. You can use grass mulch, you can use hardwood mulch, you can use any of those sorts of things to mulch around the tree. We would like to keep it out to the drip line of the tree. The drip line of the tree is the canopy edge, During the middle of the summer, typically we don't do any management per se, other than to keep the tree healthy with water and fertilizer is typically what we do. Keep it weed-free, mulch it. You can, however, remove suckers, which are coming from the base. So like these are not part of the main part of the variety of the tree, and so we want to get these off because they're taken away from the rest of the tree. So we can take those off. And then other than that, like I said, we want to keep the tree healthy as best we can. Now one of the things you see in this tree is a little bit of dead wood. You see the dead wood in there. So this past year was a fairly low chill year. And so when you have lack of chill, you don't get the branches to come out uniformly, and then you get a little bit of subsequent dieback. So you can take out the dead stuff now during the growing season, or you can wait till this coming winter to do that. And so if you will do one thing for stone fruit trees, keep them weed-free, mulch it, keep it healthy with water and fertilizer, you're going to be good to go. And most years you are going to make some fruit, and it will be fruit that you will be proud of. So the most effective roots on a tree, any tree really, are the roots in the top 4 to 6 inches of the soil. Also, the most effective roots on trees start at the drip line and go out. And so when we apply water, that's where we want to be applying the water. Hopefully we could have a drip irrigation system where we're dripping it right onto the ground, and that way we lose less of the water. As a general rule of thumb, most trees would like 1 inch of water a week, 1 inch of water a week. And so the best way to give that would be either with a drip line, or you could put a small sprinkler, put your little rain gauge down, and when you have 1 inch of water in there, then you would be good to go. Once a week typically is all you need to be watering these plants. We're super hot and dry right now, but if you have good soil and a good location, 1 inch a week should be plenty for most trees. All right, your ultimate goal, guys, is to produce fruit. And so we want you to grow a tree fast, and we want you to grow quality fruit. A lot of folks would suggest that it's really hard to do this, but if you keep the tree healthy, usually the tree will take care of itself. Now this past year we had a tremendous amount of rain in the spring, but these fruit right here receive no spray. And so as long as you do a good job, keep the tree healthy, have a lot of good air movement through the tree, then disease and other insects may not be such a big problem. You pick fruit, you pick peaches when they go from green, you see the green, to a slight yellow, and then you want the reddish tinge as well. You want to pick them a little bit. You don't want them to get dead ripe, like this spot is really dead ripe right there. So you want to pick them a little bit ahead of that, bring them into the counter, and then they'll soften up and you will be good to go. So here's wishing you great success on your fruit tree planting. Remember, start small. You don't need 10 trees. 1 or 2 will do you just enough. And if you do that, you'll be good to go. So thank you for watching this segment of Go Gardening. And this has been Larry Stein, Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service.
So, how does enjoying the many beautiful parks and natural areas located in the Trinity Glen Rose Groundwater Conservation District help protect the clean water stored in the Trinity Aquifer? You can learn more at trinityglenrose.com/pollution prevention.
Welcome to Go Gardening. My name is Mark Peterson, and welcome to Fanex Garden once again. Today we're going to be talking about how to select and plant a tree in July. Yes, we can plant a tree in July if you follow my simple steps. The first thing you want to look at is the container size. Here we have a 2-gallon, a 5-gallon, or I'm sorry, a 10-gallon, another 10-gallon. And why we want to look and use the 5 and 10s is because these are the best balance or ratios to plant in the garden. They're going to grow the best and survive the best. So the next thing we look for on a tree is to look at the trunk all the way down and all the way up, and we're looking for flaws or imperfections or maybe even disease. So we don't want a tree that looks or has any one of those. Another rule that you want to make sure when you're selecting a tree in a nursery is how many leaves are up and down the trunk. Minimally, we want half the entire tree height in foliage. But the more is better. So we want lots of leaves on the trunk. You're not going to always find that, but that's what you want to find. More leaves on the trunk. Sometimes in the past it was called trashy trunk. I don't use that terminology. I just want more leaves on the trunk. So the final rule that you have to remember when you're selecting a tree is make sure that it's adaptable to your area. Contact your local nursery or your extension agent and find out which one does best in your area and select that species. So now that we've selected our tree over in the nursery, I'm going to show you how exactly to plant it, especially in July, in order for it to survive and thrive. First thing we do is we dig a wide hole. Now this hole has to be at least twice the diameter of your container. You see, it's just about right. All we need to do now, once we've dug the hole, is take our container and pull it off. There we go. Now, examine the root ball for girdling roots. You see how I have a lot of roots around here. I should probably cut those. It's very easy to do. We take our pruners and we just cut right through the root ball. This does not hurt the tree. Once we've cut the root ball, we take it and we position it. We want to make sure we plant it a little high. So we look, it was a little high, or a little low rather. And there we go. It's a little high. Now how do I know? If I look down and I come across, it's about an inch higher than the grade. That's perfect. So I have my tree right there, and I'm going to put some mulch, some compost rather, into the pile over here. 3 handfuls. Some slow release fertilizer, 1 handful. Mix that well, and then backfill. Now I've done this a little high, but it's just to show you exactly what I mean. I ran across an old adage the other day. Plant them high and they never die. Plant them low, they'll never grow. So this is a technique I want you to all do. Plant a little high because all root balls will sink over time, and you want to have them a little high. The most important factor in your tree surviving during the summertime is watering. So we water the root ball really, really well. Let me talk to you about one of my great innovations, the 3-2-1 principle. In the absence of rainfall, we're going to water this tree 3 times a week for the first month, 2 times a week for the second month, and then 1 time a week for that 3rd month. And the idea is that you are watering a lot, but just a small amount, and then gradually increasing to 1 time a week with a larger amount. The last step in ensuring that your tree survives and thrives is putting mulch down. You don't need a lot. You just need some around the ball. And I'm using a colored wood chip here just because I like it. But you can use pine bark, you can use hardwood chip, you can use shredded cedar. It doesn't really matter. What we're trying to do is trying to reduce the evaporation on the ball. And that's all. No rings, no mountains of mulch, no phosphorus. Here we have a good tree, we planted it correctly, we don't need any stakes. So that's kind of it on how to really plant a tree in South Texas in the summertime. And don't forget the watering. Thanks for watching Go Gardening. And thank you to Phoenix Nursery for hosting us today. Everyone, be careful out there in the heat. Get outside in your garden at night or early in the morning. That's the best time to enjoy your garden and landscape.
Litter goes with the flow. Join the San Antonio River Authority in protecting area creeks and the river. Don't let litter trash your river. Let's all be river proud.
Morning, everybody. My name is George Wisman with the Trinity Glenrose Groundwater Conservation District. We're out here at Madla Park, one of the natural areas in northern Bexar County. We're here to talk about groundwater conservation and groundwater conservation districts. We find that as people learn more about the water supply, they tend to conserve water more. The Trinity Glenrose Groundwater Conservation District in northern Bexar County was created in 2001 by the legislature and passed by the voters in 2002. We manage the resource, the Trinity Aquifer in northern Bexar County. We're one of about 98 GCDs, groundwater conservation districts in the state of Texas. It was created due to the fact the area is considered a priority groundwater management area, the Hill Country priority groundwater management area. Priority groundwater management areas are areas that are expected to experience water quality or water quantity problems. Ours most likely will be a water quantity problem because the resource is not an infinite resource. In Texas, groundwater is managed by groundwater conservation districts. It's the preferred method of the state to manage groundwater under local control. Surface water is managed by the TCQ, Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. So let's talk about what groundwater conservation districts do. We're tasked with conserving, preserving, and managing the resource, the groundwater resource, at least for us in northern Bexar County. And we do this through rulemaking authority, education outreach, and studying the resource as best we can. Managing on a regional basis shows us that we can produce about 25,000 acre feet in northern Bexar County annually to meet those goals. To learn more about the Trinity Glenrose Groundwater Conservation District, please visit our website. And you can do your part in protecting the aquifer by practicing water conservation on a daily basis.